Hi guys, Dave in Texas here, and what you're looking at is junk. Okay, these are old scrap parts that I had laying around, and I just didn't want to throw them away. Right now, these are two new ones right here because I didn't have any two old ones. I've thrown all those away in the past. I got two older ones that came out of my guitars themselves, and replaced them with new with more matched values, but they're still good. Right, one's a short shaft, one's a long. I have to, do some arrangements on that. One's Gibson, one's not. It came out of, I think, one of my Chinese ones. Anyway, we're going to use that. We'll use these as well as these Chinese pickups, which is, this is a 16, believe it or not, and this is a 10, right? And put those into one of my copies, one of my fakes, and see if we can get it to play again. Alrighty. It's one of those guitars that's been laying around for a year. It's not been played. It's been broken. And I thought, well, today's Sunday. I'm not doing much. It's supposed to be my day of rest. But I thought, I really want to work on something, but nothing for the customers right now because I'm caught up with them. But plus I'm waiting for parts for them. Always waiting for parts to come in to finish something. But anyway, I got this stuff laying here in my drawer. This extra junk. And I'm going to start and I'll design a circuit and put these together and make it work. Now these push-pulls will only be used for their single pot characteristics, not their push-pulls. I don't have any push-pull 4 or 6 wire pickups. I got 2 wire, right? At least these are separated from the ground. It's not just wrapped around the hot lead. Anyway, that's where we are right now, and we're going to start by putting all the stuff up onto a piece of cardboard and start wiring it up, so hang in there. What I've done, guys, I've gone through and cleaned off these pots I'm using, and I used my soldering iron on its highest temperature to very quickly and fast as I could take a nice flathead screwdriver and just scrape all that extra pot or the extra solder off these pots and get them as smooth as I could. And before I use them, I'm going to check them one more time, make sure that didn't cause any problems with them. Okay, now here's all the extra junk that came off. You see all this over here. There's a ton of old solder came off, old wiring and stuff. Now anytime that you do clean off a pot, clean off its back or whatever, always go to extra trouble to check it with your voltmeter one more time just to make sure nothing happened to it, right? So that's what we're going to do next. Check it one more time, make sure we don't have any issues with what we did to these. Alright, as you can see, I've gotten a little bit further on the wiring on this. And what I'm going to do next is to go ahead and solder something up on these. I'm going to straighten out these caps and show you the caps I'm going to be using. And since I'm using a diagram that's, pretty straightforward, standard type diagram to do this with the wiring program, the caps are not interlocked between the pots. They are, they just run from one pot, his leg, to the back of the pot on the ground to capture the tone. All right, so it's not a big deal to just put through one leg and just solder to the back just like that. And what I'll do is this ground wire out of the way for a second. This leg on this pot is the only thing it uses. The only thing being used on are the caps on the center leg. So I can go ahead and close it. I have them both pointing the same direction, and one is a 223, the other is a 104. Which I use the 223 for the neck and 104 for the bridge. Alrighty, I clip this off because it's too long. I don't want to do it too much, and that would not want to use it all. Okay, so we're going to flatten that out to catch the side of the pot, the back side of the pot. Put this through the leg of it. And do a little J-hook on it. Sorry you can't see this, guys, but my hands have to be in there sometime. And then we're going to close that J-hook down so it'll be permanently captured. Now when this goes into a back of the guitar that's open to access easily, it's no big deal. But when it goes into a guitar that doesn't have any access, you want to make sure everything goes in there and it's sturdy and it's not going anywhere once you've finished the solder job up. That's what I'm trying to say. So J-hooks are permissible in that circumstance. Otherwise, I don't do it. I just put them through the legs and that's that. Because then, just a little bit of heat, you take them back out again in case you got a problem. Alright, so that's going to sit right there readily. Alright. We're going to solder up the back first so it'll hold. That's about all it takes. About like that. Well, I put a little too much, but that's alright. Close up this eye hole on this leg for the pot. Make sure that cap's going nowhere. And do it pretty quick, guys. You don't want a lot of heat on this thing. Especially after you cleaned them up. And that should, you know, attach there pretty good, and it does. Until you pick it up, it doesn't pop loose. You know, you've got a good, pretty good solder joint, and it's nice and shiny, so it's going nowhere. Alright. Yeah, it's pretty well connected. So, next thing to do is just to cross ground these things. So having the diagram there, which that's really common too, to have 3 of these grounded together and have an open spot on the volumes. You don't ground the 2 volume pots together. They're kind of grounded via the others that are on there. So I can get this thing to sit down. That's not going to do it. So hang in there, guys. Alright, now unfortunately this wire on the pickup, like most of them today, is so super thin. The contact wires, even the darn ground wire, are so thin. I gotta go in here and tin them up to add some strength to them. I fear they're going to snap right in half when I try to connect them. And even worse than that, guys, they're not long enough to fit. Alright? They won't reach the pots. So what I've got to do in that case is go in here and extend them. And I'll be doing that with the same type of lead wire that you see that I use on the pots themselves. And I want to get as much of that lead wire on there as I possibly can get. Try to add some stability to this thing. Not easy. Then what I'll do, I'll try my best to slide a heat shrink sleeve over both of them together. But the problem is this darn wire is much thicker than my heat shrink tube is. So I'm just going to wrap it around this ground wire just like that, and then hit it with some solder, and then slide that oversized shrink sleeve tube on it. And I'm hoping these things will stay together. It won't separate. But who knows? And I don't mind using a little bit more solder on this and having some drip down on it, just to be sure I got it on there and that it's not going to come off. Now I'm going to check the connection, and it looks to be pretty solid. So the only problem I've got is I got a shrink sleeve tube that's just too big really for this job, and nothing else in between. Let's see how much I can shrink up on it. And let's try this and not have it come loose on me inside the shrink tube. Just gonna hit it real quick. Top and bottom. I don't want to put a lot of heat on this tube, you know. I want to shrink it tight as I can. I don't want the darn wires to come loose from the solder job I just did when I put them together. And I'll do another pull test on here in a little bit. Make sure that didn't happen. I especially don't want that to happen on the lead wire for the pickup. You know, the hot wire for his pickup. That would be a nightmare. Well, it seems to be still holding. I don't want to put a lot of pressure on it, pull it too hard. And we'll see if I can't get the same thing done on this wire here, if you can see what I'm doing. So, hang in. Alrighty, now, anytime that you extend a cord to a pickup, the very next thing you do, once you have the extension set up, you test it to make sure that it's still, you know, rating what it should rate. Okay? Let me show you real quick. And yeah, so it's still on 14. Wow, it went up one. Oh, there's 13. So it's still connected to the original lead wires in the ground, and not separated. That's something you need to check to make sure, because once you get it in there, it's kind of too late. And they have been known to separate. Now, some of you got to treat kind of gently are these cords. You don't want to pull on them, you don't want to drop them, you don't want to yank them, or things yank against them. You want to put them through the guitar very, you know, gently. And leave plenty of slack in there, so when you have to attach them to the pots, that there's no pulling, none. All right, there's one pickup done. We got one more to go, so hang in there. All right, so you can start to see all this crazy wiring starting to take place, and all the work that's going into it. But what's left to do is to solder this up, ground it to this pot. Run me a ground wire from this spot over here to the spot on the jack, and then run this center line to the jack as well, but that'll take place inside the guitar itself, right? Once it's in there, or I could do that and just, you know, let the excess be hanging out there, but we'll see. Anyway, I've got actually one more job to do on the outside of these pots to ground this on the three-way, and then I'm kind of done for the soldering with these outside the guitar. The rest of the time they'll be inside the guitar, and we'll have the pickups wires hanging out so that they're ready to attach. But in the meantime, we'll go through there and finish up the solder here real quickly. I think we're at the heat. Yeah, we are. As I said before, I keep a lot of these wires spread, and that's for a reason. They'll accept the solder much easier, and the solder will flow right through them and make a better contact with that part, especially that nice and shiny part that's on there. And it should just go together just like that. You can see that one in particular, my finger's pointing, but that's on there for good now. That's not going anywhere. Okay, so next step, guys, is to go ahead and get all these parts, get the desk cleared off, right, my bench. And it's time to put them inside the guitar, and also do the wiring from the pickups to ground them on the back of the pots, as well as to put them to the leads, so that there'll be you know, in volume contacts. So that's what's going to happen next. So keep your eyes open. Okay, guys. What I got laying out on the table right now are the pickups with the extensions on them. These are the what you call it? Oh gosh, 16 and 13, and the bridge and neck are right there. So I got to make sure I don't confuse those two. As well as each step of the way, guys, since these do have extensions on them, I've got to make sure I don't pull anything loose when I put them into the guitar. All right. So I've got extra heat shrink on these so that they'll fit through readily. Nice and stiff, and the braided wire that you get, old style braided wire, is also a big help in that it lets you push these through the body really easily. I'm going ahead and mount these. Just one screw, two screws, hold these in place while I check them make sure nothing happens. So I'm going to check it now again with my voltmeter. If I can find what I did with it. It's right behind me. Okay. Make sure that little distance it traveled through the guitar didn't undo anything. Now there we are. Okay, so that's still at 13. So that's still active, right? So far. Now I need to gently make its next turn and go through this body into the back. Alright, so that should be more than enough now to get this to go through, even with the added thickness of the heat shrink. Alright, so there it is. And what I'll do is take it all through the body to the back. Alright. So hope you can still see that. And not bend it anymore, I have to bend it. Alright, now it's there and in position. Again, it's time to check it. Make sure it's not lost its connection. No shorts in it. Now, cross my fingers, there's nothing going on. Okay, turn it on. Come on, baby. Are they touching? Yeah, they were touching. Ooh, that was close. The two leads were touching. The two little alligator clips were touching and give me a bad reading. Ooh. So there it is, guys. Those are all working, still hot. I'm just going to leave it in. Well, actually, I'll put one more screw in it, just for safety's sake, so it doesn't move around any. And like I said from the start, this is all junk drawer junk. Just leftover stuff. And we're going to be testing it as well, just to make sure there's no problems. Okay, so I'll pull out that back hole I've put into the guitar. And on that back hole, guys, I've cut it just like you would cut a Les Paul's opening to its electronics, to make it real simple. Alright. Okay, so now comes the hard part. Hopefully I'm not pulling anything loose. There it goes, right now it's in the hole. Okay. Now if I try to put that on there, you know, using all the wires from it, it would have been a nightmare short. I mean, it would never have reached ever. Whereas I wouldn't use a big screwdriver like this, number one. I sure wouldn't use old parts that have been laying around. I'm missing a part, it's means guitar. If they're missing a part, I go out and get a new part. Not just junk in my junk drawer. No, that's just not fair. And if you talk to my customers, you'll know I'm a very fair guy. Alright, so that's in there safe. It's not moving here. One more time. Check it to be sure I don't have any shorts. Alrighty. This one right here. Make sure those leads don't touch each other again. Scare the crap out of me. Ah, that's perfect. 16. So, the extensions I put on there so far are working. They'd be about, you know, that long at the most to reach in there and grab those pots. But I also need to take care of this little ground wire and get that clipped and cleaned out. Get those wires spread on it so that it can ground. This is one of my wires, not the Chinese I put on there especially, to make sure it's coated and has single strand copper, which now is near impossible to get. Alright, through the use of movie magic, actually I just cut away. I shoved those potentiometers and that three-way and that jack inside the body of that guitar to get it done. I mean, I think it's dragging out way too long, especially with junky parts. But I think it's going to play. You know, I'm not really sure. I haven't tested it yet. But I know the pickups are working. I know the pots are working. I know the jack is good. One question I have is, are they still good now? I crammed them all inside this hole here. And as you'll see later on, I'll take a Les Paul black cover and cover that hole up. Put this over the top of it so that That's more like it. So that it's not going to be a problem, right? But as far as courage for that body, it'll get better. Anyway, let's go ahead and first of all get the jack attached. It's still hanging out there in space. And I've got its two little parts here, and this little jack plate doesn't fit this guitar. I've come to find out. That's kind of disappointing. And I need to find this great big quarter nut to fit that too, which I seem to have misplaced. It was on here, but it's gone. Okay, great. So let me cut away while I start hunting for parts. Alright. Top pickup, back pickup. So it's all set up and fixed right now. It's working. Okay? Now all the junk in my drawer. Now of course, look at this, guys. I won't leave it like this because I have one tone pot that's cocked and it's causing some ground issues. Alright? You look at this one volume pot, it's a long shaft one, yes. I'll go back when I change out this tone pot and sort it out and put an extra couple of quarter nuts on this thing. And you still hear it humming and buzzing, do all kinds of crap because that ground still isn't quite right. But it will play. Alright? Alright? Volumes work, tones work, everything works on it. Just got a little hum left because I got a little ground issue that I got to take care of. I think it's the ground from the bridge to the same tone pot that it's maybe loose or worked something on. You know, it's touching but it's not completely down to it or something. But going in there right now, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to string it up, let you hear it play. Okay, before I string this thing up, guys, I'm going to go ahead and clean it up. It's got my handprints all over it. And one thing I want to make sure that people understand is that if I use linseed oil on the neck, it's not to clean it. It's really mucky dirty. All right. I use a watered down glass cleaner if it's just so solid goo that hot water won't get it off. Alrighty, or this cleaning polish that Nomad makes. I'm sorry, that who is this that makes this? Yeah, Nomad Music clean polish, right? Well, I usually start out with just warm water, hot water to get finger goo off the fretboards. But somebody mentioned, no, that doesn't clean the fretboard. Well, it's not meant to clean the crap off it. If you let your dirty fingerprints on it, it's so thick you can scrape it off with a fingernail, obviously. Some people don't use common sense, guys. Anyway, so I clean this thing up, get to the head, and get all that dust off this thing. It's really dusty. This thing's not been played in a long time. It's been broke down. I just didn't feel like fixing it. Didn't have time to do it either. So get all that dust off it. Now it's time to pull up this board with some linseed oil and see what kind of shape that's in. It's been, I think, 6 months since I did this board, but we'll see. See how much it accepts. It may not accept very much at all. But we'll give it a shot just to be safe. And most guitars that get brought in here have never had linseed oil on them. Maybe 5, 10 years old with nothing on them, and that wood is just really dry. And again, see, it's not used for cleaning, guys, per se. It's used to put moisture and oil back into the woods so that it doesn't dry out on you and crack or shrink on you and have the frets pop out of their places or the ends of the frets stick out. Anyway, it's there to keep that metal from popping out of the edge of that guitar's neck when it gets dry and the wood shrinks. And that happens all the time. Let's cut away while I let this linseed oil do its trick and come back and see how much was soaked up. Anyways, to keep those bindings from popping loose too, I mean, you look at this and you think, well, it's been 10 minutes since it's been drying and not very much was soaked up, guys. Just very little, all right? So basically I'm still taking care of these, I think. So let's get all that extra off there. And again, it's not just for cleaning purposes, it's to put moisture back into the wood. If this was just covered with dirt, you know, and finger markings, I'd be using a different material altogether. Okie dokie. So, I'm going to wind this thing up, and string it up, and get some sounds out and see what you think. Okay, so you can see I got a problem. Alright. The only pickup bracket I had was a tall black one that had the curvature to it. I had a smaller one, but it was flat and it never would fit this right. It would rock back and forth, and as I got in there and shaped it with sandpaper, which I may have to do. Because the whole point of this was use nothing but junk out of my junk drawers. All right, now your junk drawer might be the same as my junk, drawer. Most stuff in my junk drawers, it still works, but it's there for a reason. It's been used before. It's there for emergencies or whatever. I don't have a part. I don't want to wait to send off for it. But anyway, this guitar will play. Not very well with this in the way. It's not going to be enough to clear this and not to be right. This pickup will still be way too close to the strings themselves, causing it to not play very well and sound very good. So, in the meantime, until I can find one of those, I have to look around and find a smaller one, right? Even a white one. I have a white medium in my junk drawer. I can look around and see if I can find one, put it on here. Of course, that's why the strings, a lot of windings on the strings shaft, right? So I can loosen those up and put a new one in. And at first I had it on there backwards. I had the tall part, short part in the wrong direction, but I switched that around, got that corrected. I just tired and trying to get something done fast, not paying attention, but can't play that way, so I switched that back where it belongs. And you heard it play earlier. Now what I'm doing right now, letting the strings, stretch out and do what they have to do. Get this thing to play, all right? So, let's give those strings a chance to stretch, and we'll tune it up and play it next. Okay guys, well here it is. It's going out of tune. It's craziness. Whoa. So that pickup is very, very strong on this thing. This 16 on the bridge. You can't tell it, but I'll switch to clean so you hear how nice it is and mellow on the neck. Hold on. Alright, so we got a clean channel. Nice and clean. Switching them both. Now listen to this one, switch over to the bridge. Very sharp, very sharp. Not bad for junk. Of course, going out of tune again as usual. It never fails. Hold on, guys. Wow, it's way out of tune. New strings do it. Alright, there you go. example up and down the neck. That's what it sounds like. Not bad, like I said before, for junk drawer parts, you know. And depending on what amp you use this with, you really get some good stuff out of it. Of course, I still have to go back and, you know, adjust this height of this particular pot. Look at that. And fix this one that's a little wonky here that is a little cockeyed. But after that, it'll be ready to play again, put some knobs on it, and be all done. It's still going out of tune. Wow. Well, that's what happens when you use your finger as a pick, okay? Alright, that's it, guys. So, junk in your drawer, you know, can really, you know, still sound good if you know what to do to fix it back up again. And this guitar is ready to loan out again to the guys that I loan these to for their gigs. They don't have a semi-hollow body that need one. Anyway, any questions, give me a holler. Dave in Texas. Bye, guys.